What is up, YouTube? So here I am to do chapter 342 review slash discussion slash talk slash future discussion speculation on the latest chapter of the manga Fairy Tail. And so if you haven't heard from the last video, they released 3 chapters all at once this week rather than 1 per week. So I'm doing the second of this 3-week extravaganza, which happened last week as well, which is really crazy. I don't know how they're doing this. Maybe they saved it all up and they just put it all out once. Who knows? But this week's chapter I have to get into detail mode, which I already do quite a lot if you've seen my previous videos. However, the reason why I'm doing this rather than all 3 chapters in one video is because I really think there's a lot of detail that has to be talked about, rather than a few other reviewers have been just releasing 3 chapters all in one video and reviewing all of them. The problem with that is, well, the main problem is just that there's so much to talk about. They do like a 6-minute review on the whole thing, and that's what, 2 minutes per chapter. I don't know about that. Anyhow, I'll try and keep it short as well. How about that? Okay, you guys want something shorter, I'll give you something shorter. Actually, I haven't really gotten feedback on it, but I personally would want to do something shorter. So 342, this is much better than last chapter because there's less gag, so there's more plot, and at the same time I did like the gag, so I still would consider this a better chapter. So starting off, we see them setting out on this adventure, and this is more of like a setup chapter to this great new arc. And I really like this, you know, they're going on an adventure all over again. It's going to be great. And there's a lot I can talk about, but it will be pretty much summarizing. So I'm going to assume you guys know what's happened. You've read the chapter already. So this is my final spoiler alert warning. First and final. And so no chapter summary. And therefore I will skip quite a few pages of this. And to summarize all of that in one go, they're going out to this new quest. And so, first thing to note, this guy is number 4 on the top 10 Wizard Saints. So, from what Urza says in her dialogue, we can assume from what she said that this guy is pretty high ranked, which we then find out later isn't true. But we'll get to that. So there's apparently a land called Ishgal, which they are in, and apparently all 4 heavenly kings, actually they're not called heavenly kings, they're just called, oh they are, the 4 heavenly kings of Ishgal. I keep getting it confused with Toriko. They came up with 4 heavenly kings first, so this might have been a copy, but the thing is they added the Ishgal at the end, so maybe not. But regardless, I really think that this week's chapter it's spectacular in a lot of ways. First off, when we first meet this guy, okay, first off, all these 4 heavenly kings seem to reside on Ishgal by their name alone. So that's saying either their power is so great that they live on this continent, or it's just a continent they have chosen upon themselves. So going in, we first assume him to be a very, serious, very strict guy, and I really like how the author, I think his name's Mishimoto or something, but I really like how he's chosen the character to be playful and joking and making all these jokes you don't expect. And because of that, it puts a much lighter, surprising shock, because you're so used to all these mangas where you get these very serious, strict characters that just command attention but can be very boring and uneasy going at times. So he's very, very light, very, very playful, and then you see him and he's grown into a tree. Like his hair is literally like branched out into leaves, and then like at the top of his head you can see little branches coming out making these leaves. And his whole face, whether it's because he's so old or because he's grown into a tree, it's literally like, you know how like trees have those like wrinkles? He has those like line-ish wrinkles, or all over him. And so when I first saw this, I'm like, this is one of those cases where, you know how I said how the 4 heavenly kings, it was mentioned, their powers were so great that they were unhuman, or they were just unhuman to begin with. This guy, as we see at the very end when there's a flashback, he started off very human. He had black bushy hair. Now it seems his powers have gotten so great that they have warped him into a very blatant part tree man. So I'm thinking this guy's super powerful. And so he goes on to tell this whole story about how, you know, an eternal flame has been frozen over by ice. And we're thinking, okay, this is pretty cool. This is pretty relevant to Natsu and Gray, and this is why they can, you know, they'll probably learn a lot and grow a lot from this whole dilemma. Again, I'm not going to summarize, but the next interesting point is how he drinks the plant food. You know how, like, professional gardeners, they don't just pour water on plants. They add a lot of nutrients and like solutions and stuff to the water. Well, he's drinking this like solution from the pot himself. He says like, I'm thirsty, and he just straight up drinks it when he was using it to water the plants. So I'm thinking this guy has to be hella powerful. He's been warped so much and become like half tree. And here's the thing. Here's the thing that gets me. So he's retired, and he references how his guild was great. We later find out it's Fairy Tail, that he was one of the founders of Fairy Tail, along with Mavis and this and 2 others. One we know is Makarov's prior master, the one who died. I think his name was Hades, the guy with the eye patch, and we all know that. And then this unknown 4th founder of Fairy Tail, which we see in the flashback. We don't know who it is yet, but we see this guy, and it's pretty cool because he says, you know, as a hobby rather than charitable, because he considers it more as a hobby than charitable, but he goes to deserts and he stops the spread of deserts by making it into a forest with his magic. And so I'm thinking that's pretty cool. This guy's pretty darn strong with his magic. Here's the hooker, the hook, line, and sinker. He says that despite, you know, like, first off, Urza's like, surely someone of your power and stature can do this without our help. And then he tells us something that has completely screwed over what we thought before, which was that the 10 saints were so powerful, like the top 10 in the continent. He tells us that these are just 10 people hand-selected by the council. So I'm thinking they're still very strong, but they are subjectively selected. So this is further on supported by him saying that there are countless, keyword countless, mages greater than me on this continent alone. And if you were to go beyond this continent, the likes of me would be, quote unquote, this is what he literally says, quite insignificant. So just from that, I really think that this is quite a shocker, because from what we've seen, each time the 10 saints were mentioned, we were like, this guy is super strong. Everyone who we've seen who is either a prior member or current member is hella strong. So with this revelation, we realize that, okay, so that makes sense from what I mean, I said in the last video, Urza, a lot of people in Fairy Tail right now are probably stronger than the 10 saints. So he realizes, this is another key point. He says that in offensive magic, he probably would hold no contest to a mere youngster. So he's actually pretty weak in terms of offensive powers. But he mentions, you know, with a guild, our strengths will cover others' weaknesses. So that's slightly implying that, okay, he can't fight, but he can do other utility types of spells that are over, like, crazy. I'm pretty sure, like, maybe defensive spells, or, as we see in this chapter, transportation spells, other stuff like that. So he's kind of like a windy type mage, like a support, like in League of Legends, like a support type player. You still contribute just as much, if not more, just in a different way. And I like this, but it's saying quite a lot. It means this guy's power is not that great. We should disregard the 10 saints now, because that's not a real ranking system. And they have it opens up so much. It means beating the 10 saints doesn't put you at the top of the fairy tale universe. He mentions countless others in this continent alone that could beat him, and so many other outside of the continent who would make him look like an ant. So I'm very, very interested, and it really widens the universe so we can see more. At the same time, it makes it a little bit too big, so you're never sure who's really ranked 1 or ranked 2 or ranked 10th. Whereas, you know, if you look at other manga, it's a little bit more succinct, such as Toriko, where everything's like there is a ranking system, and despite that, there's like outsiders who aren't ranked, and despite that, it's still very succinct, and you know roughly how powerful everyone is. So it opens up a lot more, and they are on this journey to figure it out. And that's it for this chapter review. It really opens up a lot, and it leaves a lot of open questions like, who is the strongest right now? Is it Zeraf? Is it Acnologia? Because we know Acnologia is the king of all dragons, and he's beaten all these other dragons, and he's another one of these kids who has such strong magic that it's warped who he is. Like, he started off human, but with his Dragon Slayer magic, he has become a dragon himself and beaten all other dragons. So this is kind of like what's happened with this tree fellow. And with Acnologia, it's like, wow, this guy is super strong. Like, it was literally said, the reason why Acnologia no longer talks back to humans is because he regards them as so below them now, such as ants, that he would never even bother to converse with them. It's not that he doesn't understand you, he just doesn't converse with you. And that's why they almost got wiped out before, if it wasn't for the fairy tale magic that saved them in the island right before the time skip. So, crazy stuff, crazy stuff. I know Acnologia is up there, possibly stronger than Zeraf, maybe not. And then there's so many other characters out there now. I mean, it frees up the whole universe. The 10 saints, weak. I thought they were super strong before, now, weak. Probably, I mean, this tree fellow is probably weaker than Urza, or Natsu, or maybe even Grey. And that is why he sent for them. So we will see what happens. We all know Urza's hella strong, taking on all those things at the Fairy Tail Mage tournament, but I don't think he compares to Acnologia. I mean, the strongest member of Fairy Tail, I forgot his name, but you know, he's the guy who was the father of the girl who drinks a lot from Fairy Tail. He got destroyed by Acnologia, and we thought he was so freaking strong. He was like stronger than Natsu by like millions. He destroyed everyone. Like, I literally think he's beaten everyone effortlessly since the start of this manga. He got ripped apart by Acnologia. He met Acnologia, his arm got cut off. So he has like a fake arm now. His leg got cut off. Fake iron leg now. And then he has all these scars just from meeting him. So I'm thinking top, rank 1, rank 2, Acnologia, Zeraf. Everyone else is rank 3 and beyond. At this point, this video is dragged out long enough. I don't want to ramble on the rankings, but those are top 2. The rest are pretty much trash right now. So we'll see what happens. Peace out. Subscribe if you like this. Request anything you want in the comments below. Peace.